You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Board-certified naturopathic doctor, and I'm looking forward to this weekend's Cabral HouseCalls. Today is part one. We're going to answer about 6 or 7 questions from our community. They come in over the past couple weeks at stephencabral.com/askcabral. And this is my opportunity to try to give back, try to answer those questions for people out there who are not finding their answers. Their answers to move forward in life, whether it be on wellness, weight loss, anti-aging, or just things, all things I would say mindset, motivation, spirituality, career, whatever it might be. I want people to at least get started in that right direction. That's what I hope to provide on this show, and I'm always excited to get started. So let's start with Irene today. Irene's question is, hi, Dr. Cabral. About 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with lymphedema. The area associated with it is my left ankle. It stays swollen 24/7. Most of the time it isn't painful, but it looks horrible. It looks like an elephant leg. I have these chamber-type contraptions that zip onto my legs and from toe to groin, a machine that then inflates the chambers in order to compress my legs from toe to groin. I'm supposed to pump my legs twice a day. I'm not faithful at doing this, but even when I am for a few weeks, it doesn't seem to make much difference. The same left leg also has about 10 areas that have spidery-looking veins from my ankle to my knee. Are the two possibly related? Is there a cure for lymphedema? I'm committed to listening to your podcast. Appreciate your commitment to helping others get well. Thank you, Irene, for writing in, and I'm happy to help you with this question. This is something I see a fair amount in my practice, and that's because I offer some cancer support. And again, when some people go through cancer-based treatments, they actually have lymph nodes removed, which can cause lymphedema on that left side or right side, legs or arms, which is typically where you're going to get lymphedema because you've either had maybe lymph nodes removed in the groin or the leg or the armpit or so. But it doesn't have to be that way because there's a lot of people who get lymphedema as well. And what happens is, so if you don't know what lymphedema is, basically your lymphatic system, which I've talked about quite a bit of the Cabral concept, isn't able to drain properly. And so the area, which is downstream, whether it's an ankle or a wrist, starts to get swollen. And the problem with that is that we then do not circulate the blood as well. So waste can't be removed properly, nutrients can't get to the right place. And yes, spider veins, varicose veins, things like that can happen as well. So what Irene's talking about is she's actually using something called a pneumatic compression machine, which is kind of like massage. It essentially tries to push the fluid from her legs back up to the heart to get things moving. And it has to actually, for the lymphatic system, it has to move to the left side of the body, which is on the upper thoracic spine or the chest, which is called the left thoracic duct or just thoracic duct. And so there's a lot of things we can do to help with this. So we have to go easy at first because if the lymph's been there for quite some time, we don't want to get too aggressive, that's for sure. And you're also always welcome to check in with your specialist on this too. So I've done many shows on lymphedema, but more so it's been called lymphatic drainage or manual of drainage or all these different topics. So let me talk about the topics now, and then I would like you to look them up at stephencabral.com/podcast. And you could just type in dry brush or any keyword that I'm about to name now. Now, for all of today's show notes, everyone can go to stephencabral.com/645. So if I mention a show, if I mention a lab, if I mention a supplement, if I mention a product, if I mention anything, I will try to link it up there to make your life easier because I know how hard it is to find things online as well, especially with, a website like mine that has thousands of pages on it. It can be difficult. But of course, we made that search bar that was based on your feedback. We're always trying to listen to the community's feedback. My website, the Cabral concept, really isn't about me. It's not. I try to make my practice as little about me as what I want as possible and more about what you want. The whole point is I got well my life is now good. I feel good. How do I share that with others? That's it. And if I can do that, well, believe it or not, I feel even better. So yes, I'm getting something out of it. I am getting a lot out of that. And I feel like this is my life's work. So please do feel free to continue to pass along your feedback, because when possible, it's not always possible, but when possible, I do take that feedback, and so does my team. And we try to improve, of course, for you. So Irene, here are your answers. Dry brushing. You want to move from the ankle up towards the groin, but first start with your knee to your groin, 3 strokes in each position from the knee to the groin, then move all the way around the leg. And then you're going to go from the ankle to the knee, and then you're going to go from the ankle all the way up to the groin. But please listen to my full show on that. It's just type in dry brush and you'll be able to find it. Okay. If you ever can't find it, just email us at support@StephenCabral.com, or better yet, just join the community group. Join CabralSupportGroup.com. It's free. It's a Facebook group. It's private. It's for positive people looking to make great things happen in their life. All right. So the next thing you could do, Irene, is eventually I'd like you to do a little bit of rebounding. I know that would be challenging right now, so it might not be the right now, but I'd like you to do with just a little rebounder. That means jumping up and down this little trampoline, very, very small. You can buy one at home. Again, you could just type in rebound or rebounder, and you'll able to see a whole podcast on that. Another great one is a sauna. Dry heat was great for that lymph system. Even better, an infrared sauna. You can get one that you can get right at home. That's the one by Therasage that I've spoken about before. So just type in sauna and you'll see lots of podcasts on that at StephenCabral.com/podcast. All right, the next one. What if you can't afford a $14 dry brush? What if you can't afford a $60 or $70 rebounder? What if you can't afford an infrared sauna or going to your local Y or anything like that? Well, you can always do self-massage, and that works great too. So get a little sesame oil. Sesame oil is heating. Coconut oil is actually cooling. I'm not going to get into that, but that's when you really get deep into Ayurveda, you learn how different oils and everything affects the body. So we actually want a heating-based oil to help with lymphedema. So we use sesame oil, and we use sesame oil as the base. And so we want to do, and again, this is a kapha-based disorder, lymphatic congestion is what it really is in Ayurveda. They call it lymphedema. In conventional medicine, same thing. Same language. So what we want to do is we just want to stroke the same way as you would dry brushing from the ankle up to the groin, but follow the dry brushing recommendations there. Go slow. Don't overload your system. And then also, I can't recommend to you enough trying to do a 7, 14, or 21-day Dr. Ball detox. Ideally, the 21-day Dr. Ball detox. And if you're listening to this in November, it is the last time that we are offering the buy 3, get 1 free. And that is just because, to be honest, it's going to set you up for all of 2018. I want people to have this. It's already a tremendous deal at what we offer it at. It's really, the highest quality ingredients in the world. That's why we can't do it. Buy 3, get 1 free. It's taking $100 off. This is something that I do believe in. If someone can't see us in our practice, they can't do a lab, they can't do any of those things, 21-day Dr. Ball detox, and then you get an extra one free to be able to do, in 6 weeks or 12 weeks or with the seasons, whenever you want to do it, or give it to a friend so they can do it along with you. So hopefully that helps, and I look forward to hearing your success story. So Tony's up next. Tony's writing in. Hi, Dr. Ball. Thanks again for everything you do. I've been sharing your information with almost everyone I know. I just completed my organic acids test and food sensitivity tests. Needless to say, I'm excited and have newfound hope on my journey to healing. Now that I've addressed my own issues, I wanted to write on behalf of my wife. She's 29 years old, very fit, for the most part, in good health. She has a history of kidney stones dating back to her late teens. We've been blessed with 3 children, but each pregnancy got worse and more kidney stone complications. While she was pregnant, she developed several stones. Past some, we know at least 2 remain. The last pregnancy 2 years ago, she actually had one of the tubes in her kidneys blocked, and her nephrologist said that her kidneys had become very compressed and were not functioning well under strain. She had several follow-up appointments over the last couple of years, and all doctors have deemed her kidneys to be functioning very low due to kidney disease. They stated that her kidneys are in pretty rough shape and have begun to basically calcify. Is this an actual condition? If so, what can be done to revitalize the kidneys and restore its functionality? Once again, big thanks. My family appreciates this. Okay, so here's the big thing. Yes, you can actually calcify your kidneys, so it's very, very important to look at that. Now, I honestly believe, and so it's this blessing that I think women get to carry a child and actually get to experience bringing another life into this world. And I wouldn't say it's a curse, maybe that's the wrong term to use, but so much of their own reserves and so much of their body is needed to actually create that new life. And what happens is women can become more catabolic after they give birth or even during the fetal development. And the reason is that the child needs so many nutrients. And the stress sometimes of having a child and not sleeping as well at night and all of those things that we know that a lot of moms go through. And it's tough on the body, and the body can start to actually break down bone, become a little bit more acidic, which would only cause more bone breakdown to be able to alkalize the body in general. And again, I know there's a lot of people who, say that's all woo-woo and not, but it's actually human biochemistry, meaning that your body, yes, it always maintains a certain pH in the blood of about 7.356, but it does that by using more alkalizing-based minerals and biochemical processes. So that's very well documented, and much of that actually takes place in the kidneys as well. So the kidneys will oftentimes hold on or can have to filter too much calcium, which can lead to that calcification. What I would honestly do is to look into more alkalizing things such as bicarbonates. I would look into magnesium to help to balance that calcium, because magnesium is the balancer of calcium, just like potassium is the balancer of sodium and vice versa. I would absolutely run a hair tissue mineral analysis and organic acids test for your wife first. So great that you ran the food sensitivity for yourself and organic acids test. That's amazing. For your wife, I'm recommending the hair tissue mineral analysis and the organic acids test. You can also look into kidney cleansing herbs. There are many, many teas out there that work great as kidney cleansers, okay? There's burdock root. There's a lot of great ones that you can use. Dandelion works for both the liver and the kidneys. There's red clover. There's a lot of great ones. So you can certainly do kidney cleansing teas. I like that. But what we're really looking at is helping to balance this calcium, which is not just going to happen through a tea itself. And then, very, very important, I need your wife to get a lot of minerals into her body. So every morning I want her doing the daily nutritional support smoothie. She can put in her favorite fruit, her favorite berries, no dairy, nothing in there that would add more potential leaching of calcium as well. And I want her to use the daily fruit and vegetable blend. Why do I want that? It's 22 organic fruits and vegetables, and it's going to give her a lot of alkaline-based minerals. That is absolutely where I would start. Thank you, Tony, for writing in. Really appreciate the little tables being turned here. A husband writing in for his wife. Really appreciate that. I like to see it. Okay, JL's up next. Dr. Cabral, thank you for your podcast. I have just recently taken a functional medicine approach to my life, and I appreciate all the information you give on a daily basis. My question is about female libido. What can be causing a low libido besides the stress of daily life? I cannot accept the diagnosis of hypoactive sexual desire disorder. I feel there has to be a hormonal imbalance that is causing this and can be treated. What is your advice to identify any potential imbalances in the body that could be causing this? Any proactive or natural remedies would be helpful. Thanks again. So JL, this is going to be a little bit of a rant. I cannot believe now they have a disease diagnosis called hypoactive, which means low, sexual desire disorder. This is absolutely insane. Insane. They give these names so that you can say, oh, that's what I have. But there's no treatment, except like, oh, maybe here's some Cialis, maybe here's some Viagra, here's some whatever. I mean, this is completely insane that conventional medicine is doing this. Oh, we don't have an answer, so we're going to give it a disease name, or we're just going to say it's genetic. Honestly, it's just ridiculous. It really is to be given that diagnosis. So, here's the problem. And I've talked about libido before, and I want to see if this is on a previous show that maybe I could link up. But the truth is this, is that when someone has low libido, that there's nothing really wrong with them. What's wrong is their overall life, that they have no zest left. They have no excitement. They have no passion left. Because when you're passionate about life, when you have zest, when you have vitality, you have libido as well. You can't not have one without the other. But you also can't really have libido without the zest, without the vitality, without the passion. The only time that happens is when you have a high anxiety disorder, high levels of that dopamine, and that's actually a false sense of libido, meaning like you have that high libido because you're trying to like calm yourself down. That's totally different. So what I want your wife to do is this. Sorry, let me see who am I actually talking to, the husband or wife. My question is about female libido. Okay. So, or at least I'm talking about female libido here. So what happens is when we get overwhelmed, we get anxious, we get stressed, our body goes into a survival-based state. This is known. This is well known. It's called the sympathetic nervous system. I've talked about it many, many times. I seem to be one of the only people who talks about it, but truly everyone's taught it in medical school, whether it's naturopathic medical school or conventional medicine school. It's called the autonomic nervous system. You have a parasympathetic and you have your sympathetic nervous system. Well, when the sympathetic turns on, what we're looking at is fight or flight. We're looking at a survival-based mode, and your body's not thinking about sex. It's just not. It's thinking about survival, famine, drought, war, stress, whatever it is. And there's no way, if we think about sex being used, like originally, right? In terms of conceiving a child, well, you wouldn't bring a child into the world when you're that stressed. It just makes sense. Your body shuts that off. It starts to lower thyroid. It starts to lower caloric consumption. These are normal functions of your body. So if you want to fix your libido, you need to get healthy. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, people ask me, like, how do I lose weight when I've never been able to do it before in my life? I say, you need to get healthy. This has nothing to do with weight loss. Your body will lose weight when it's healthy. It will return to its ideal weight when it's healthy. All right, here's a couple things to do. Run the hair tissue mineral analysis and run the thyroid plus adrenal plus hormones test. That would be my ultimate recommendation, okay? If you can only afford one, the hair tissue mineral analysis is the lowest cost option. It will show you stress, and it will also show you heavy metals. You might have a heavy metal burden, meaning like you might have high mercury, high aluminum. You might have something that's actually aggravating the nervous system. It is possible that you have viruses, like you have a virus such as herpes or Epstein-Barr or something like that, that's causing a real stress on the internal part of your body. Now, that's possible as well because it doesn't always have to be life, meaning like it can be internal life, which is the environment inside the body. That's absolutely possible. There could be other toxic body burdens, meaning like a buildup of estrogens that is not escaping your body because you're constipated, so they're being recirculated through your colon back into your bloodstream. That's possible. So, I mean, you really have to look at the health of the entire human being. But if you know you're stressed, well, you need to start with what are those stressors? How can we reframe that? That's an important way to look at it. And then, if possible, running that hair tissue mineral analysis as well as the adrenal hormone test. So those are my recommendations. I do hope that helps, JL, and never go with that hypoactive sexual desire disorder, which is, again, completely ridiculous. Okay, Anonymous is up next. For as long as I'd paid attention, approximately 2 years, about 2 weeks before my cycle, I get night sweats. They stop completely after day 1 or 2 of my cycle and very predictable and consistent. Oftentimes, I have trouble sleeping because I'm so hot and I'll even wake up out of a dead sleep sweating like I did a workout. Is this normal? I know body temp rises after ovulation, but is it normal to sweat that much? Okay, so this is not normal, but very common, Anonymous. So here's why. About 2 weeks before you do get your period, day 1 of menstruation, let's say that's around day 14, that's right around peak estrogen. Okay, so it's like 1 or 2 days right after peak estrogen. Now, progesterone at this time is supposed to be climbing so that it peaks around day 21, day 22, day 23, somewhere around there. And estrogen is supposed to be dropping. But if progesterone doesn't climb in time, because of many different factors, which we've talked about so much, like if you haven't heard my previous podcast on estrogen dominance, just type in estrogen dominance and you'll get all your answers to this. So that's what happens. And when we get these estrogen dominance, or we see that in women, then what we're going to find are this very common complaint of night sweats. And that's why it's so common during menopause as well, not just 2 weeks before menstruation begins. So that is what we're looking at. We can fix that by re-regulating what's called the HPA axis, the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, and helping the body better deal with cortisol output. And higher cortisol output typically is what's stealing progesterone. So those are some of the factors. Look up previous shows on estrogen dominance. What are my main things? Well, how do we lower estrogen? We can use a product called DIM, D-I-M, but we can also do things like doing a detox. That's a huge thing. 7-day, 21-day, 14-day, 21-day. You might even do the detox days 7 to 14 of your cycle and see if that helps to lower estrogen as well at that time, meaning like higher levels. It will not knock it down to a non-existent level because the Dr. Ball detox is a functional medicine detox. It helps you to re-regulate normal hormone levels, never dissipate your own. And if you're drinking wine right now, red wine especially, we've seen that in my practice and many of my colleagues have as well. Alcohol raises estrogen in the body. So especially obviously for women. Now, not every woman, obviously we can't make these blanket statements, but for a lot of women, I want you to try cutting out alcohol for at least days 7 to 14 or whenever you would typically get those night sweats. Try for a week before that. Try it out. I'm telling you right now, that may help a lot. Now, if you don't drink alcohol, well, that's obviously not going to be it. So let's try that out. If you need a lab to run, then I'm going to recommend running the adrenal plus hormone lab. If you have any weight loss, you need to lose any weight, then you'll add the thyroid to that. You'll add the thyroid plus adrenal plus hormone. But right now, you'll run the adrenal plus hormone. And you can do it at this day that you get the night sweats. So you can do it exactly at day 14 or 15 of your cycle. And that will show your high estrogen and your lower progesterone. Now, again, we're guessing until we test, but we're assuming that's what it is. And that's why usually the instructions say to do it around day 21, day 22, if you're having estrogen dominance-based issues. But again, you might want to test why are you sweating? And that would show you why. Because the other issue is that you might be getting high cortisol at night, and that can cause sweats as well, because your blood sugar could drop and then your cortisol levels could rise, and that can cause sweating. So a couple of different reasons. It's not the only one, but that's my first place to look for you. Okay, let's get into our last question for today, and it's from Judy. Dear Dr. Cabral, I'm so grateful to have found your podcast. I'm a 34-year-old woman battling acne since my teenage years, with the exception of when I took Yaz birth control for about 2 years. I later tried a generic brand to help with acne, but it never worked. It's been 5 years since I was last on birth control. My acne continues to get worse. I've been vegan, and the acne seems to be on her chin. Plant-based for almost a year. Several digestive issues. I can now eat beans and cruciferous vegetables. Acne continues to get worse. Started with 5 milligrams of maca, some flax oil, some vegan EPA, DHA, and still craving sweets. Still binging on the weekends. Eyelashes falling out. I am concerned that I've lost the half moons on all my nails except for my thumbs. Do you have any suggestions for what may be causing acne, binging, hair loss, and nail issues? Is there a vegan solution for me? Looking forward to your reply. Okay, good. I'm glad that you gave me all this data. Now, here's the thing. I'm not able to read the really long questions, but you can by always going to the show notes. Just go to stephencabral.com/645 for today's show notes and all the links, of course. So, all right, let's start with the labs. What labs would you run? You'd run the hair tissue mineral analysis to see if there is a autonomic nervous system disorder as well as a heavy metal-based issue, okay? Heavy metals can cause hair loss. They could cause acne because of inflammation. There are other issues going on there. And then, of course, I would run the organic acids test for you. Why would I do that? Well, I would do that because I want to look at if there is some gut-based dysfunction. You have a craving for sweets. You do have some acne. The acne is on the chin mainly. So I am looking towards hormones. So you could also run, if you wanted to, the thyroid plus adrenal plus hormone. Why am I adding thyroid for you? Well, you're losing the half moons on your fingers. You seem to have some catabolic-based issues, meaning like some of the eyelashes falling out or any type of hair loss is a catabolic-based issue as well. And that's my big place to start. That's definitely what I would recommend. You've done a lot of great work on yourself, and I'm very, very happy to see that. I do want to make sure that you're getting enough good vegan protein sources. Now, again, protein's not the end-all, be-all, but as a vegetarian or vegan, you do actually need to make sure you are getting your 50 grams, 60 grams or so per day. Now, again, you could do that all through vegan-based sources. There's no doubt about that. I just want to make sure you're getting enough since you seem to be in a little bit of a catabolic-based position. What else would I recommend to you for the acne? Well, one big thing is this, and actually by running the adrenal and hormones, you'd actually get to see if you are still estrogen dominant. Now, that could be why the Yaz birth control was working for you. And the only reason I'm really saying that it may have helped and worked that way is because it was actually trying to re-regulate your hormones so that you obviously could not get pregnant. Now, I'm not an advocate, nor am I recommending birth control. But I can say when it works, and we don't have to deny that. And I do know that conventional medicine pharmaceuticals do work. They come with side effects, but they do work, and it's not treating an underlying based issue. But birth control is a little bit different of a product, right? You're using that not to necessarily always regulate a symptom, which in this case, it could regulate acne, but you're using it as a contraceptive measure. So really by testing, this is a good time to test. We're able to start to lower those potential either estrogen or progesterone imbalances. Now, again, that's really what I'm looking at. Organic acids test. I'm really, now that I'm talking more, leaning more towards the adrenals and hormone because I want to look at the hormones themselves. If you can't afford the lab test, what we'd probably want to do is use something like the HPA Adapt, which has the maca, but it has also the ashwagandha. That would be more of a recommendation. 2 of those at breakfast, 2 of those at dinner. You could also use the organic CBD oil that we offer before bed to kind of calm that sympathetic nervous system, help with some acne as well. You could be doing some of the skin-based things we talked about on previous Cabral concepts, like the French green clay mask. We could be using DIM, the DIM product we spoke about before. You can check that out on our website. We'll try to link that up too. So just go to the show notes, stevencabral.com/645 for today. And I know by going deeper, you'll be able to figure out what is going on with you. I don't think that it's just a food sensitivity. It's not my first place to look for you. Of course, by doing our Dr. Ball Detox, not only will you eliminate a lot of those excess hormones and balance your blood sugar levels and help to re-regulate inflammation, but you will also try to find out really what foods are causing you the most stress. So that's our elimination diet. That's what I would also recommend. Judy, hopefully that helps. Thank you everyone for tuning into another Cabral Concept. I appreciate each and every one of your listens, and stay tuned tomorrow where I answer more of our community's questions. Take care. Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or unbalanced in only 2 ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to stevencabral.com/rainbarrel.